52 years ago, an unknown economist started an obscure group, and they've been meeting ever since then. And that unknown economist was Klaus Schwab. He started the World Economic Forum, and they're now facing kind of being fallen back into obscurity because of the policies and agendas that they're pushing. Davos, the meeting in Davos, Switzerland just ended. And that was the World Economic Forum's meeting where all the luminaries and the self-proclaimed global elites met to set policy and agenda really outside their own country's view. And this is what the reporting looked like. Check out some of these headlines. Globalization has died, and Davos 2023 was its funeral ceremony, scholar sums up. And so let's take a look at this. I mean, you had media before fawning over the WEF, fawning over its elites. Listen to how this is reported. Gal Loof, director of the Washington-based Institute for the Analysis of Global Security, told Sputnik, Davos has become the dressing room of the West and is more divorced than ever from the rest. It no longer represents the real concerns of most of the world's population. Its obsession with climate change, social justice, gender, and other forms of wokeness has made it a laughingstock and target of disdain for most of the world. Remember, the WEF and Davos, they are famous for really pushing the agenda of let's all eat bugs, forced transhumanism, artificial intelligence, and really, destroying economies to fight climate change.
We'll all rent and love it, give up all of our possessions. And by the way, I suppose our possessions will be in the hands of those guys and women that fly by themselves in jets, parked like all along, as though I think they even have valet parking for the jets once they arrive there. And then tell the rest of us we shouldn't be driving more than 5 miles from our home and be using our bicycles everywhere we go. I mean, it's really no wonder that they've lost some relevance in the world because of reporting like, you're doing right now.
Yeah, 15-minute cities, megalopolis, all of the stuff that we reported on. But there's no better really mouthpiece for the current WF than historian, professor of history, Yuval Harari. And just to give you a flavor of what the WEF is up to and why people may not like them, take a listen to him.
Okay.
COVID is critical because this is what convinces people to accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, we need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin.
What we have seen so far, it's corporations and governments collecting data about where we go, who we meet, what movies we watch. The next phase is the surveillance going under our skin. We're now seeing mass surveillance systems established even in democratic countries, which previously rejected them. And we also see a change in the nature of surveillance. Previously, surveillance was mainly above the skin. Now it's going under the skin. Governments want to know not just where we go or who we meet. Above all, they want to know what is happening under our skin. What's our body temperature? What's our blood pressure? What is our medical condition? Now humans are developing even bigger powers than ever before. We are really acquiring divine powers of creation and destruction. We are really upgrading humans into gods. We are acquiring, for instance, the power to re-engineer life. I know that in recent years, we saw populist politicians undermining deliberately the trust that people have in important institutions like universities, like respectable media outlets. These populist politicians told people that, say, scientists are this small elite, disconnected from the real people. I mean, all this story about Jesus rising from the dead and being the Son of God, this is fake news. Humans are now hackable animals. The whole idea that humans have, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over.
We've used that video before, and I absolutely love that video. I've said it before. I love this guy. I wish they would put him in his own show, 24/7, CNN, MSNBC, Fox. You're missing out. Make sure this guy gets as much publicity as he can get because he's making our job so easy.
Yeah, parents, spend some extra time with your kids. Give them an extra hug so they don't turn out like this guy. Please, we don't need any more. So, okay, so let's go back to WEF, Davos. So we have the headlines that look like this. This is The Guardian, and we have kind of whistleblowers within the WEF. Mutiny erupts among WEF staff over role of Mr. Davos. That's being currently held by Klaus Schwab. It says a group of current and former WEF staff members who contacted The Guardian said the 82-year-old Schwab was a law unto himself and had surrounded himself with nobodies who were incapable of running the organization he founded in the early 1970s. It goes on to say, Klaus has been at the helm of the WF for 52 years. When he was born in 1938, 122 of the 195 states in the world right now did not even exist. He is completely unaccountable to anyone inside and outside the organization, the group said. So we have here, we're really painting a picture of this person who's completely out of control here. So yeah. I want to go back. We have a video of Richard Edelman here. He runs the Edelman Trust Institute. It's a huge corporate PR firm. And you can see him now. He was at Davos and he was giving speeches there and interviews. And you can see they're on the defensive now. People are turning against wokeness. And he's basically speaking up and trying to save it and giving people talking points to be on the defensive. Take a listen to this.
All right.
I think there's something really important to say, which is the CEOs need to stand up against this accusation of being woke. This whole idea of DeSantis and Disney and et cetera is a myth. Our clear research finding is 85% want CEOs to stand up and speak up. 2/3 of employees want to work for companies that have their same values. 2/3 of consumers are belief-driven buyers. Every indicator is saying speak up, stand up on the 4 key issues: sustainability, diversity and inclusion, wages and reskilling, and geopolitics related to Russia. 1,000 companies got out of Russia in the last year. That is a very significant step. It's 4 times more than got out of South Africa.
You can see why those leaders haven't come, because, as you point out in your barometer, we've gone from distrust to actually polarization. So there's seen to be a certain amount of reputational risk or damage associated with attending an event now that for many people is perceived to be dark and about collusion and about where the elites or the 1% wish to steer the global economy over the next year.
I mean, I love this piece because you see him trying to shift the talking points, but the reporters are just like, look, it's obvious. No one's showing up here. The people that matter aren't showing up. It's embarrassing to look like you're a part of this thing. And I just want to take a moment to say to our audience, this is what just sharing the videos and the discussions we've had about the WEF. I'm not saying we're the only ones, other great bloggers and everything out there, but as a whole, we have managed to take this world-controlling group that is literally trying to shift out of our national powers, the United States of America, turn it into this globalist system. They're now a laughing stock worldwide because the work we've done, the fact that you are sharing it with everyone you know, all of their stupid videos. Obviously, I guess, as it turns out, it must be shocking to them. We don't all want to be renters.
Right, exactly. And so now we have op-eds that look like this, talking about anybody that opposes the WEF are right-wingers. They're trying to paint this ridiculous version of reality here. Dissidents opposing the Davos agenda dismissed as right-wingers. And it says here, the self-styled masters of the universe gathered in Davos, Switzerland last week for the world's largest convention of the tone-deaf. Those with even a modicum of self-awareness avoided the annual World Economic Forum altogether this year, including every G7 leader except German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who was there to talk about renewables, even as Berlin fired back up the nuclear and coal plants after shunning Russian gas. So I mean, we're laughing because it is laughable. This is a ridiculous position they're in right now, and they've created the whole thing, and now they have to sit in it.
Yeah, I agree. And it sort of goes to my point I've been making all along. When people are like, oh, they're evil, like they're these evil powerhouses. I said, I think they're just idiots, and I'm going to call them that. And luckily, many around the world and many journalists now are stepping up to the plate and calling them the morons that they actually are. And we're not having it. You don't get our world. You don't get to control us. You don't get to decide what I drive, what I eat, whether or not I get to use gas or electric to cook my food.